We are live. We are live. Welcome to College Football's Peek Around the Corner with your host, Greg Pflugar. We cover everything in college football because we love everything in college football. And if you do as well, please subscribe to our channel. Smash the like button if you like our content. Share the video with your family and friends. Do not forget to ring the notification bell. If you want to support this independent, although I'm going to have to explain our independence here at Peek Around the Corner. We are independent. Independent National College Football YouTube channel. If you want to donate to help us keep the lights on and grow the channel, just hit that $sign where you make your comment, and I will get to your super chat as quick as I possibly can. Welcome everybody into the studio that sits on the corner, the very corner of Keith Jackson Parkway and Kurt Gowdy Avenue. Do not be afraid. Do not be afraid to become a legend with your comments and with your phone calls. It has been a very busy Monday. I'm going to need everybody to focus. We're going to have some fun today. We're going to chop it up. I'm going to give you the final order of finish prediction for the Big Ten today on this live show. We've done the Big 12 We've done the ACC. We've done the SEC. And today we're going to do the Big Ten. And then we're going to do later on in the week, we are going to do our final college football playoff prediction. And then we're going to chop it up through the month of August. We are going to be doing, we're going to be doing a whole bunch of stuff. But we've done the work. We've done the Spotlight series on 80 different teams. We did our way too early predictions, and now we are doing our final prediction for every team in every conference. And of course, Notre Dame. But there is something that I have to talk about in regards to this quick strike. Here at Peek Around the Corner, we reported to you first through a money perch down in Tallahassee. And then we got it confirmed from chatter behind the curtain when they knew that we knew that they knew that we knew that we had the information. We reported all of that to you, and then a week later, Ross Dellinger reported the shot clock, the elevated talks, the quickening talks. I can report to you today that the quick strike is prepared for early 2027 if needed. I need to explain something it's going to take me a while. So what I'm going to do in the very first part of this show, I'm going to explain some history when it comes to college football's Peek Around the Corner. Because history is repeating itself. And a lot of you don't know who the heck I am. So I got to explain something for this information to make sense today. All right? So I'm going to start there. I'm going to set the table, and then we are going to go through our final order finish prediction for the Big Ten. And then I'm going to explain to you what this information is. There was a question the answer to that question, Cornhusker Skaven yes, is this news from BTM. I can tell you 100% that this is news coming from BTM. Now, I want to make something clear. This is an independent National College Football YouTube channel. If I applied to try to get entry into the Big Ten media days, they would shut me out. Let me explain. This has all been explained before, but I know we got a lot of people, a lot of new people. On March 31st, 2022, March 31st, 2022, on a very cold, about 4 o'clock, 5 o'clock, I believe, in the afternoon. Very cold. I remember I was cleaning my car at a gas station. And my knuckles were completely, my hands were frozen. And I got a call from BTM. And he gave me the news about USC. Okay, so he gave me the news about USC. The next 3 months transpired. I was reporting it about USC, called the Big Ten, and they're going to go into the Big Ten, and these are the reasons why. I also explained in those 3 months, I was as transparent as you could possibly be. I explained why I was given the information, why I had the information, why did I receive the story. One of the biggest reasons that I received the story is because some members of the money perch in the Big Ten wanted to make sure that the Big Ten knew that they knew, and they were not going to sit on their hands and watch Kevin Warren blow this opportunity. So while I was giving accurate information through 3 months, and we're talking USC called the Big Ten alone. I mean, all of these details, all of the reasons, all of what was going on. There was a motivation to the reasons why I had that information. I was being fed that information. I was being fed that information. It was accurate, obviously. Just like the Colorado story, just like the Oregon-Washington story, and a lot of other stories we are able to break here. But I was transparent in why I was given the information, why I was delivering the information. There was a motivation behind why I was given the information. You can call me a mercenary, you can call me whatever you want to call me. When the Los Angeles Times interviewed me 4 different times, 4 different conversations, when they put it out in the Los Angeles Times on August 20 on the front page of 2022. The story that happened through all of this. I told the Los Angeles Times, it's in the article, I said, look, I was given the information and there was a motivation behind it, and I never hid that. I never hid that motivation. Now, not every story that I get, the vast minority of the information that I get has that type of emphasis, that type of motivation. But that one had it. The legal counsel of the Big Ten followed me 9 separate different times. They wanted to make sure that they did not get Houston chronicled. They didn't want anybody else breaking this news. They were keeping an eye on me. All of this was confirmed by the Los Angeles Times and others after all of it happened. I wanted to say all of that because we are independent here at Peek Around the Corner. I rip on the Big Ten. I praise the Big Ten. Whenever I feel like it, I rip on them. But the information that I have been given for this live show is coming from certain forces in the Big Ten. I'm full transparency. Full transparency. I'm not talking about the administrators. I'm not talking about Tony Petitti. I'm talking about other forces in the Big Ten that if this bill fails, if it doesn't get lined up to get voted on in the Senate, if the House doesn't take action after the bill gets massaged a little bit, the quick strike is already prepared. And that is coming from the deep that's coming in deep from the Big Ten. So in other words, there's a couple of choices, a couple of options here. One, we get this thing on the Senate floor and we vote on it and we pass it. We are going to get the release of the bill, what is actually written in the bill, pretty soon here. It could happen during this live show. Ross Dellinger has reported that. Brandon Marcello has reported that. Amanda Kristovich from Front Office Sports have reported that. And we might get it during this live show. Get that thing voted. Get it into the House. And then there may have to be a couple of changes in the House. That may need to be massaged a little bit. Because if it's not, then there's a really good chance that it's going to fall. And if that really good chance that it falls, well, there might be a couple of forces out there that are going to make sure that a couple of options going into next year, whatever senators want to pick up this effort, those options are not there to be used. Hint, hint. Wink, wink. The quick strike, Big Ten don't want to do it. We don't believe the SEC wants to do it. This is not the time to do it. It does not benefit the conferences as much as if they could wait. They don't want to do it. But they want to let it be known that they're ready to do it. I think, well, I know that this is to be the case. So, we are going to talk about the quick strike. It is prepared for early 2027. If things are not successful in the Senate and the House to get that antitrust exemption and a little bit of a massage to that current Senate bill. All right, I want to thank everybody for coming on in. I very much appreciate it. Hopefully, most of you, if not all of you, understand what I'm saying. This is one of these live shows in which I've been given some information, and as long as I'm transparent with that information, what is the motivation behind it, I think people can handle it. All right. We've got Helmer Hennison, $2 holler. Thank you for starting us off, Mr. Hennison. You should cover Michigan versus Minnesota. No guts, no glory. I don't know what that means. You should cover Michigan and Minnesota. Like a watch party? There's a good chance I'll do a watch. I mean, I love all of college football, so I like to do. I don't do every Minnesota game. I only do a couple of them during the season. Usually they're the games that they absolutely get smashed against the high-profile Big Ten teams. Unfortunately, I might. If you're talking about a watch party, I might do that. I could now look. I did the Oregon-Minnesota watch party last year. I embarrassed myself. I completely embarrassed myself. I did a whole song. I did a whole routine. PJ Fleck, roll the boat, hallelujah. Roll the boat ashore, hallelujah. I did all of that before the game started. I declared that Minnesota would shock the world. In Oregon, thumped the Gophers, and they didn't even. Oregon didn't even. They didn't even break a sweat. So, but again, I think Minnesota is going to have a very good chance against Michigan. So I will cover that the best I can. Thank you for the $2 holler, Helmer Hennison. Very much appreciated. We got the Evil Badger $5 holla. If schools can band together and dissolve a conference and start a new conference, the bottom of the conferences would still get screwed. Now you do have these things called the grant of rights. It's not easy to dissolve a conference. You would have to have enough votes to dissolve a conference if you're going to do it midway through. A lot of middle programs, bottom programs are never going to vote to contract the conference because they could be the next one. It's just a lot more difficult to actually do in reality than the theories that are put out there on X and on message boards. Now the ACC, they have it written in their settlement that schools can leave the conference to join a one sport conference, i.e. football conference, and then they would be able to leave their other sports behind in the ACC conference. That was a settlement between Florida State, Clemson, and the ACC. I mean, that might happen, but this federal law, if it's passed, is going to supersede a lot of this other stuff. And if you're going to leave a conference, you're going to have to go independent for 5. I don't think any of that is. I don't think. In other words, I'm not the Big 10 or the Big 12 ACC. Best of the rest theory, in which both conferences dissolve and the top brands of both conferences join to create a P3. I don't see how that can even happen. I don't see that happening. But thank you for the $5 holla, Eva Badger. That is one scenario that I'm not. I'm not too worried about at this time. Thank you, Badger. Thank you for the $5 holler. We've got Larry Andrick. Larry Andrick, the Mountaineer. A gifted membership. Holy smokes. Give to David Kreitzer. Both of you, Larry Andrick and David Kreitzer, are knighted. Are knighted officially. College football, cloak and dagger. Welcome to the family once again, David Kreitzer. Please say thank you to Larry when you get an opportunity for his incredible generosity. Thank you, Larry. I appreciate it very much. Thank you, Larry Andrick. The man, the myth, the legend from West Virginia, Larry Andrick. Thank you, sir. Very much appreciate it. We've got Mr. Jim Skinner in the house. Big, massive super chat. Holy smokes. We got a $20 holla, Jim Skinner. The top ACC schools still want to go to the Big Ten and the SEC, and they still want the top schools. Correct? Correct. The House will expand the limit to 20 members. That could be correct. And no waiting, or the Power Four conferences will add members before it becomes law. Okay. The last part, sure, it's a possibility, but that is not what we are talking about on this live show. The quick strike being prepared for needed early 2027. I truly do not believe the quick strike is in play if the Big Ten and the SEC are in favor of the bill. And now there is a question whether if the bill passes in the Senate and the House and the 19 and 5 are still in there, would the quick strike happen? That is very, I think, I think the threat is there. But the bigger threat is if this bill doesn't, in other words, if the not, we're going to get back to it in the back half of the monologue, but if the 19 and 5 is still in there, it's going to be a challenge to pass it in the House. I don't think the Big Ten is going to go for it. I know there's reports out there that the Big Ten proposed the 19. No, they did not. I know there's other people saying that the Big Ten and the SEC put that Section 205 in there to make sure the Big 12 and the ACC doesn't merge. That's not true. The Big Ten, Tony Petitti has said it in public, on record, to CBS Sports. He doesn't even know where the 19 came from. He doesn't understand it. So they're going to fight it. They're going to fight it, and this is part of this is part of it. If the bill really needs to pass the Senate and the House, and you really should massage the 19 and 5. And if the bill doesn't pass with the massage 19 and 5, if it doesn't even get up the vote, I mean, it could fail for many different reasons. There's not enough time. Election. There's other things going on. Big war with Iran. All these other things going on. But if it doesn't pass, Senate, House, with a few things, I'm just going to use the word they say, massaged, maybe put it to 20, whatever that number is. It's not going to be 19, whatever it is. If it doesn't pass, well, they're not going to just sit there and lay down and not take that off the table the next time it comes around in the Senate and the House. There's another message. There is another message that I want to give to everybody. But I'm going to wait to the back half of the monologue. Look, some people are going to look at this in a bad light. They're going to say, well, I knew it. Greg's bought off. I'm not bought off. The BTM and his association don't pay me a nickel. But they've been able to help me break stories, along with people chatter behind the curtain, along with some administrators. I mean, this is how it's done. They're letting me know. They're letting other people know. The word is out there, and we, come on. Cruz and Cantwell has to know this at this time. Cody Campbell's got to know it. If they don't know it at this time, they're going to know it now. There's parts of this bill that still needs to be changed. And if it doesn't pass with those changes made, or if it looks like it's going to pass without those changes made, the quick strike is prepared. Do you remember, does anybody remember, I think it was yesterday. Was it yesterday? I took the L. I had to take an L. Because, although I've talked about the small scoop Big Ten and big scoop SEC, and even in my latest prediction, which is not a report, just a prediction, I had big scoop and big scoop. I wasn't really... I had a 1% chance of getting that prediction right. My heart wasn't really in that prediction, but I had to give up something. It was April 9th. That's our prediction show, annual prediction show every April 9th. But now I was told that the Big Ten had flirted seriously with the big scoop. Like, that's one of the reasons why they have a big candidate list. Because top targets, North Carolina, Notre Dame, that's easy. If one of them wants to jump, that's easy. Miami is the third one. That has become easy. But after that, it is very difficult. You don't know if the top targets are going to come, and you don't know exactly what you want. There's been a lot of talks. The big scoop is a lot more difficult to pull off than the small scoop, to grab enough value to get everybody satisfied, your media partners. I'm just saying. I ain't saying, but I'm saying. The quick strike. I mean, the talks. Somebody's gonna write a big article on this someday. It could be within the next month, the next couple of months. And somebody's going to write out how much discussions have been had between ACC schools, a couple of Big 12 schools, with the Big 10 and the SEC. Some national reporter is going to write a big old article on it. So buckle up. All right. Thank you, Jim Skinner. I appreciate the $20 holler. All right. Let me get into our show. Jace0002 People are sick of the drama. Get something done. Well, you know, something did get done. The Big Ten and the SEC support the passage of the bill in the Senate on how it's written. That is huge. Huge. But now that's going to go to the House, and there's going to be other voices jumping on in saying, I think we need to change a little bit of part of that. And then I think maybe the Big Ten voices are going to come in and say, yeah, you know, maybe that should be changed, because if it's not changed, well, we can make the change without the change in our own way. Jace0002, thank you for the $2 holler. Very much appreciate it. Thank you guys so very much. Again, later on in the show, super chats, of course, supersede other comments. When you give us a call at the end of the monologue, when you give us a call, the floor is entirely yours. You can talk about anything in college football that your heart desires. But right now, we got to lay it down here. Our official Big Ten order of finish prediction. We've already done the other 3 Power 4 conferences. Today is the Big Ten. Now, I did this in a way that hopefully we're going to shorten the time on this. Although I got a lot of things to say about these Big Ten schools. Right? We've already done the spotlight on all of them. We already did our way too early order of finish prediction. There are some changes, of course. There are some changes. This was our way too early order of finish prediction back in early spring. Take a quick look. Now this is our final order of finish prediction. Here we go. We're going to go 18 through 12. 18 through 12. The Purdue Boilermakers at number 18. And are they going to win a conference game this year? Barry Odom, the last 2 years. Now, Barry Odom was just the head coach last year. They did not win a conference game. I guess maybe they will. I'm not sure. Ryan Brown, the quarterback, they've got all their eggs in the Ryan Brown basket. I mean, they did not go in the portal. I don't know, guys. I don't know about Ryan Brown. Fami Ejioboy, the transfer running back from our beloved Minnesota Golden Gophers. He's a gamer. He is a running back. He's going to help out the Purdue Boilermakers. Now, he does not have the greatest vision. That was his problem at Minnesota. But Fami Ejioboy is a great athlete. Tough runner. Hits the hole hard. But sometimes he cannot find the hole. I mean, he doesn't really have good vision. He's got good balance. Hopefully more reps. Hopefully he can get there. They've also got Jared Gibson, the transfer from Texas. So the Boilermakers are high on their transfer running backs. Xavier Townsend, who played at Iowa State, UCF. Hopefully he can have his big season, his last year of college eligibility. George Barron, the tight end, who was a great athlete in high school, he's been nicked up in his college career. Hopefully he can light it up. Charles Correa is their linebacker. He is the leader on defense. Elo Modozi, the Georgia transfer. They think he can be a massive pass rusher for the Purdue Boilermakers defense. Look, I think the Boilermakers are going to come in last once again in the Big Ten. I am definitely not a believer in the quarterback. Definitely not a believer in the quarterback. Purdue, 18. Rutgers, it's a tale of two cities. I could be way off on Rutgers. The offense could be really good this year. They were good last year. The defense, boy, it's going to be rough again. Now, they did get rid of Rob Smith, the defensive coordinator. Should have never hired him again, Schiano. That was a major mistake. That's the mistake that P.J. Fleck made a few years ago. Rutgers defense, if it was decent last year, Rutgers would have gone to a major bowl game. A.J. Serace. Now, I guess he's going to be the starting quarterback. I guess he's going to beat out Dylan Lonergan, the transfer from Boston College. That's what it sounds like. Very interesting. Antoine Raymond is an absolute beast of a running back for Rutgers. KJ Duff, Ben Black, they got good offensive weapons. The quarterback is going to be a little bit questionable until he plays. See what he has. But the defense is going to give up a lot of points. They got Moses Walker, linebacker. Abram Wright, linebacker. But Rutgers is probably going to give up a whole lot of points this year. Schiano, when he hired Rob Smith, I talked about it on this show, and I said, wrong move, and it cost Greg Schiano. And it might cost him his job. Number 16, the Northwestern Wildcats. David Braun, the head coach. Again, I'm not a particular fan of Aiden Childs. Not a fan at all. I think the quarterback position at Northwestern and a lot of these schools that are 12 through 18, I don't think it's going to work. Now look, Northwestern is going to have one of the best secondaries in the Big Ten. Robert Fitzgerald, we had him in the spotlight. Great safety, underrated. He should be, there's a lot of great safeties in the Big Ten. That's the problem. Josh Russell, great cornerback. They love Brandon Turner, the nickelback. One of the best secondaries in the Big Ten. Aiden Childs, I am not buying. I am selling him so fast. Northwestern at number 16. The Nebraska Cornhuskers. Now, the last couple of years, Cornhuskers, I have predicted you guys to come 8-4. 8-4. You fell short both times. Now, you're going from Dylan Raiola to Anthony Colandrea. You're going from Emmett Johnson to Mekhi Nelson. Jamal Rule, who is a freshman who's turning some heads. Your offensive line is probably going to be better. Is your defense really going to be better? I know you got Rob Ulrich. You've got your new defensive coordinator. This is the one. This is the one. I am not buying Nebraska this year. More difficult schedule. The breakthrough for the Cornhuskers should have been last year. Should have been last year with that easy schedule, with Dylan Raiola, with Emmett Johnson, Ja'Cory Barney, Isaiah Hunter, decent receivers. You got Gilmer, the kid from UCLA. Riley Van Poppel, he's all right. Vincent Shavers, he's all right. Donovan Jones, he's all right. But there is no... if you look at first team Big Ten on defense for Nebraska, how many guys are on the first team, second team, third team? 1, 2? And And I'm not buying Anthony Colandrea. Again, tough kid, really good at UNLV, but we've seen this story before at Lincoln. Anthony Colandrea, when he was at Virginia, he's going to get killed. They're going to have too many design runs. This doesn't work in the Big Ten. It doesn't. Not for a again, it's going to be another Cornhusker quarterback that doesn't survive the season. I'm not buying it. Now, I am interested in this Jamal Rule. I've seen tape on him. Interesting running back for the Nebraska Cornhuskers. Nebraska at number 15, I could not put him any higher. Michigan State, I'm excited about Pat Fitzgerald being at East Lansing. That I'm excited about. I'm not really excited about this roster. And I think Pat Fitzgerald needs to be given a lot of grace on this. The UConn running back, Cam Edwards, great transfer pickup for the Spartans. The wide receiver room, I don't know. I think it's probably the weakest in the Big Ten. Maybe. Jordan Hall, very good middle linebacker for the Spartans. They got the kid from Auburn, a linebacker from Auburn that they expect big things from. Alessio Milovic, the quarterback, tough kid. Almost beat the Gophers basically single-handedly last year. Tough kid, but I don't see Michigan State finishing in the middle of the Big Ten. I don't think they're going to be there yet. Wisconsin at number 13. Look, I know I've got a biasness against Wisconsin. I get it. They weren't very good last year. They were not very good last year. Let's be honest. Colton Joseph, he might be all right. Abu Sama, a better athlete than a running back, if that makes any sense. I think he might be okay. He might be okay if he can stay healthy. Darian Dupree, the wide receivers, I don't know. Chris Brooks, Terrell Henry. They got Malachi Coleman, who used to play at Nebraska, played at Minnesota last year, had one big play for the Gophers. Thank you, Coleman. A very good third down pass reception that he made into a first down against the Nebraska Cornhuskers. But he's not a Big Ten wide receiver. The linebackers are great. Cooper Catalano, Mason Pose. We had him under the spotlight last year. He's going to have 1 million tackles. He's going to be imposing. They brought a lot of transfers in for the secondary. When you're bringing in that many guys, you're going to have to hit on them. Yeah, I'm not seeing it. I think Luke Fickell loses his job this year in Madison. I think Matt Rule loses his job this year in Lincoln. I think Greg Schiano loses his job at Rutgers, and maybe Barry Oldham loses his job. Another head coach 2 years in, and he's out back to back at Purdue. Possibly. I think there's going to be some head coaching carnage in the Big Ten. UCLA at number 12. Bob Chesney comes in. Now, am I a little bit too low on UCLA? A lot of prognosticators, a lot of outlets and a lot of national reporters are putting UCLA in the top 9. I can't go there. I cannot go there. Nico, I'm leaving on a jet plane. Probably will have his best quarterback season of his college career. He's going to need to. They brought in a superstar running back from James Madison, Wayne Knight, which we talked about in the Spotlight series. The wide receiver room is incredibly interesting. It's why I don't know how high of a ceiling Nico has. Because the wide receivers are, I don't know. Leland Smith, the transfer from San Jose State, I think he was San Jose. He was good. I mean, there was a lot of good wide receivers at San Jose State last year. Walker Eget was the quarterback. He transferred on. He's at Duke, but I don't know. Landon Ellis, again from James Madison. The secondary is going to be pretty good. They got Scooter Jackson, the nickelback, Roderick Pleasant, both guys highly, highly, highly rated. UCLA, 12. I cannot get them any higher than 12. No higher than 12. Here is 5 through 11. The Fighting Illini of Illinois, I have them dropping. From the spring until now, Kaden Hauser, I don't know. Along with Colton Joseph, along with Anthony Colandrea, I'm struggling to see it. Good quarterback at ECU, good quarterback in the American. Probably going to be decent in the Big Ten. Illinois lost a lot of dudes last year. Now they got Valentine, they got Laffrey, the running backs. The running backs are good. Wide receiver Hudson Clement. He came from West Virginia. Last year to Illinois, he caught about 30 balls. Colin Hill caught another 30 balls. 2 wide receivers that are decent, not great. Matthew Bailey, we put the spotlight on him. Safety. Xavier Scott, we put the spotlight on him. Cornerback. Decent secondary. But I am not there with the Fighting Illini of Illinois. I had to drop them to 11. Number 10, Maryland. Maryland has taken a big jump from the way too early to our final prediction. I think the Maryland Terrapins and the Washington Huskies, 9 and 10, are the biggest wild cards in the Big Ten. I don't think Iowa is. I don't think Minnesota is. I don't think Penn State is. I don't think Michigan is. I think I've got them generally where they're going to end up. Washington and Maryland are a little bit scary. Let's start with Maryland. Malik Washington, very good true freshman season. Better than Bryce Underwood. But again, I'm going to be honest here. The wide receivers, I don't know. Caleb Webb, Naheem Abdul-Rahim Gladding, a lot of drop passes last year at Maryland. Now, Dorian Fleming, the tight end, I think he caught, I might be wrong here, but I think he caught 40 passes last year. Very good tight end. I might be wrong on that. But this is where I think Maryland is going to be scary. They had 2 defensive ends last year, and we talked about this in the spotlight. Sidney Stewart and Zaire Mathis. Both of them were excellent last year. Freshmen. And they both came back to play for Loxley again. They could have went in the portal. They could have gotten big bucks. The Maryland Terrapins, the defensive line, they've got dudes. And they've got dudes in the secondary. Jamari Glasker and Dante Joyner both have very good ratings from last year. Dejon Williams, the running back, again, very promising. I mean, I've always said about the Maryland Terrapins, they look very impressive coming off the bus. But once they play, especially the second half of the season, they will get beat. This year, woo! Malik Washington. I wish he had more proven production at the wide receiver position. And that's why I'm keeping him at 10, not 9, 8, 7. Maryland at 10. Now, is that going to be a good enough job? Is that going to be a good enough job for for Loxley to keep his job? That is the question. And I think it probably will be a good enough job. Washington is the other wild card. They could come in 4th. They could come in 9th. Quarterback Denman Williams. Now everybody's saying, the polite, everything's okay at Washington. Nobody holds it against him that he threatened to go in the portal. Everything is just fine. It probably is. Probably is. But I say this to you. Much like a handful of Big Ten teams this year in the conference, they really do not have proven production in the wide receiver room. They are going to be leaning on true freshman Jordan Clay, true freshman Mason James. I get it. Very highly recruited dudes. But you're probably going to have to lean on Decker DeGraff, the tight end. Desmond Roebuck, the wide receiver, basically the only one who's returning with production. Running back Jordan Washington. You lost Muhammad. He went in the portal. This Washington Husky team, talented. Are they more talented this year than last year? I think they're a little less. I think there might be a little less. I got Washington at number 9. The quarterback, however, if he gets to the next level, woo! Washington is the biggest wild card in the Big Ten. Number 8, Iowa. I think that's about right. I do not think they're going to thrive with Jeremy Hecklinski as their quarterback or Hank Brown. It sounds like Hecklinski has the advantage. Kamari Moulton, good running back. Reese Vanderzee, the wide receiver. I don't know. The tight end, DJ Vanami, very good tight end. I think he's probably going to have an excellent season. But the offense, is it going to be better than it was last year with Mark Gronowski? I think it's going to be a little worse. Linebacker Jaden Montgomery, secondary Zach Lutmer. We had him under the spotlight. He's the next great Iowa secondary player. Tyler Brown, safety, which they got from James Madison. Iowa at number 8. I just don't think they've got the juice once again on offense. They're going to have a very good offensive line, and that's why they're number 8. They're going to have a very good defense, but maybe not as good as it's been. Number 7, Minnesota. Now, every time I have Minnesota in the top half of the Big Ten, I get ripped on in the chat room. Here's the problem. Minnesota finishes in the top half of the Big Ten. The Gophers are a better football team. They have a better roster than they had last year. They just do. Drake Lindsey, his second year quarterback. Freshman season, very, very good. He's coming back. Same offensive coordinator. Minnesota is the only team in the Big Ten that is returning their head coach, returning their offensive coordinator, returning the defensive coordinator, returning the quarterback. The only Big Ten to return all four. Drake Lindsey with the Greg Harbaugh. It is an NFL offense. And Drake Lindsey knows it backwards and forwards. Darius Taylor, the running back, guess what? The beast is healthy in August. Now everybody's got to form a prayer circle around this studio. If Darius Taylor can play in the second week against Mississippi State, and if he can be healthy, look out, because he's never healthy at the beginning of the season. But right now, he's doing a lot of different exercises, Pilates, all that stuff, acupuncture. Darius Taylor, the beast, is healthy. Wide receiver room is a lot better than it was last year. Jalen Smith, Javon Tracy, Noah Jennings, the guy who came from Cincinnati. The wide receiver room is incredibly more. And remember, there is a wide receiver out of Florida, a true freshman, Mr. Haynes. Remember that name. Because, well, you'll find out here during the season. Defensive end, Anthony Smith. First team All-American, Anthony Smith. 12 and a half sacks last year. And then he's got Carter Menz, 6.5 sacks last year, backing him up. Oh, and they've got TJ Bush, 6.5 sacks last year for California. They've got Nathan Crowder, first team defensive tackle. They've got Maverick Barnowski, great linebacker. They got John Nestor, 6 interceptions last year. They've got Aiden West, a guy that came from Michigan State that started all their games. Kerry Brown, they've got him coming back. The defense is stacked. And the offense is led by Drake Lindsey and Darius Taylor. Yeah. Minnesota 8-4 is the floor. 8-4 is the floor. And Penn State at number 6. Now, I flirted with Minnesota and Penn State, doing the old do-si-do, having the Gophers at number 6, but I could not do it. Penn State, Matt Campbell, first-year head coach, Rocco Becht. He's been in a lot of action at Iowa State. Rocco Becht has defeated the Iowa Hawkeyes. Carson Hansen, again, came from Iowa State, the running back. James People, that transferred from the Ohio State Buckeyes. Tight end, Benjamin Brahmer, great tight end from Iowa State. The linebacker, Tony Rojas, great linebacker. Caleb Bacon, who has seemed to be, he played at Iowa State for 20 years. I guess he's got one more year left. He's going to be a linebacker at Penn State. Penn State does, and I might have been a little tough on Penn State. Maybe been a little tough on Penn State during the spotlight. I think number 6 is the right spot for the Nittany Lions. Number 5, the Michigan Wolverines. They're loaded. I'm not going to lie. The Michigan Wolverines are loaded. I do not have them in the top 4 because I'm not sold on Bryce Underwood. He's going to have to show it to me. It's showtime, Bryce Underwood. It is showtime. The Wolverines are going to run for a lot of yards. They are going to run for a lot of yards. I mean, they lost Justin Haynes. Justin Haynes had a great season for Michigan. And he went and transferred, and he's going to be the Georgia Tech running back. And Michigan is not going to miss a step. Running back Jordan Marshall. Savion Hyder. The true freshman running back who looked awesome during spring camp. Savion Hyder. Jordan Marshall. Andrew Marsh, wide receiver, coming back. He's going to have a better season than last year. They've got a very good transfer wide receiver, promising wide receiver from the Utah Utes, J.J. Buchanan, of course. Who else did they bring from Utah? Who else did they bring from Utah? John Henry Daly, defensive end. The Gophers, Anthony Smith, all Big Ten, All-American defensive end. John Henry Daly, all Big Ten, All-American defensive end, Michigan. Big pickup for the Michigan Wolverines. Kyle Whittingham was able to get him over to Michigan. Defensive tackle Dre Pierce. He came on last year. He could be the guy plugging up the middle. They got Smith Snowden, the nickelback from Utah. Another Utah Ute that followed Kyle Whittingham to Ann Arbor. And then they had the cornerbacks that played a lot last year at Michigan. Yair Hill, which we did a spotlight on. Zeke Berry, he was under the spotlight for Michigan. Michigan is loaded. Absolutely loaded. I cannot put them in the top 4. I cannot put Michigan in the playoffs because Bryce Underwood, I need to see it to believe it. Top 4 for the Big Ten. And all of these teams are going to go to the college football playoffs. Number 4, USC, Jaden Mayava. He is going to have a spectacular season once again for the Trojans. He is going to be in the hunt for the Heisman. A lot of these players on the Buckeyes, the Ducks, the Hoosiers, and the Trojans are going to be in the Heisman race. Waymon Jordan, running back. King Miller, running back. That USC offensive line is going to be awesome. The Trojans are going to run over everybody. Almost everybody. The Trojans' running game is going to be phenomenal. Now, I do have to say, once again, and I have said this quite a few times already on this live show, on the official Big Ten official order of finish prediction, the wide receiver room, not a whole lot of production. You've got Tanu Kynes coming back. Okay, that's fine. But you're leaning on freshman Booby Feaster, who we had in the spotlight. Now, you did get Terrell Anderson in the portal. He's a Wolfpack, North Carolina State Wolfpack. You brought him in. And I know every USC Trojan, Jose is in the chat. I know what he's thinking right now. Great. How can you talk about the USC Trojans? Grateful Trojans in the house. He's also thinking the same thing. Greg, how can you talk about the USC Trojans and not talk about Mark Bowman? Okay, let's talk about him. This guy, I mean, what is he? Is he Batman? Is he going to be this year's Batman? I hear so much about Mark Bowman, the true freshman tight end. Man, the hype machine out on this guy. Okay, Mark Bowman. Obviously, he's very talented. They're going to play him. Jose says Mark Bowman will be a legend. Book it. I get it. Every Trojan fan on every show says the same thing. Jaden Maeva to Mark Bowman, touchdown. All right, we're going to find out. USC number 4, defensive end, Braylon Shelby. Cameron Crawford, defensive end. Christian Pierce, safety. Marcellus Williams, cornerback. Gary Patterson has got to elevate Trojans to the middle of the conference on defense. If the Trojans can be in the middle of the conference on defense, they're going to go to the college football playoffs. They are going to go to the college football playoffs. USC, Indiana, I get it. SEC country doesn't like Indiana. They're not all that good, Indiana. They're just old Indiana. They don't play anybody, Indiana. The Indiana Hoosiers are your defending, reigning, undisputed Big Ten and national champions. That is your Indiana Hoosiers. Quarterback Josh Hoover. He's good. He's really good. He's really talented. He's got to cut down on the interceptions. Got to cut down on the interceptions. But he's good. Kobe Martin. You know who Kobe Martin is? He's the Mark Pullman of the Indiana Hoosiers. My goodness. Now, Martin was with Indiana last year. But the hype on this running back. Woo! All right, let's find out. Now, I do like Turbo Richard. I've talked about him the last couple of years. He came from Boston College, Florida State. Turbo Richard, a really, 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 really good. I would consider him going to be a third down back for Indiana. We all know Charlie Becker after the playoffs, after the championship game. Charlie Becker, superstar. You're talking about a catch radius of 1,000,000 miles. That is Charlie Becker, Indiana. Nick Marsh, transfer from Michigan State. Not Andrew Marsh, the receiver from Michigan, who I think is going to be better this year. He's going to be pretty good. Nick Marsh, the transfer from Sparty to Hoosier. Now he's going to have Josh Hoover passing him the ball, not Aiden Childs. So Nick Marsh, probably going to be pretty happy at Bloomington, Indiana. The great first-team All-American left tackle who's going to be protecting Josh Hoover, Carter Smith. You've got defensive tackle Tariq Tucker. You've got incredible linebackers, Hardy and Jones. You've got cornerback Jamari Sharp. You've got cornerback A.J. Harris. You've got safety Amari Farrell. All these guys, Pro Football Focus, all of these ratings were elite. All of them. Indiana is stacked once again. With Kirk Cignetti leading the Indiana Hoosiers, I do not see them not making the playoffs. And when they get in there, they're going to be a threat. The Oregon Ducks, number 2. Another team that is absolutely stacked. Dante Mohr coming back. You know he's going to have a brilliant season. There's not much I can say about Dante Mohr. He's going to be absolutely brilliant. Oregon is going to whoop up on a lot of teams this year. Thank God my Gophers don't play them again this year. Thank God. Jordan Davison, the running back, he could be a Heisman sleeper. But the problem is they've got De'Ara Hill, a running back who's going to get the ball a lot, who averaged, I don't know, what did he average? About 8 yards per rush? Wide receiver DeCorian Mohr, he's going to develop this year. Second year, Oregon Ducks. Hopefully he's healthy. Evon Stewart, hopefully he's healthy. Jeremiah McClellan. Jamari Johnson, the tight end. Absolutely loaded on offense. Oregon is going to score 1,000,000 points. Mateo Ungo Ungalale, the defensive end. Bear Alexander is back for his 10th year, it seems like. Defensive tackle. Amari Washington, defensive tackle. Look at the tackles they got. Alexander and Washington. Brandon Finney. Arian Flowers. Oh, that's right. They've got Coy Pirich. I forget what team Coy Pirich came from. I don't remember where Coy Pirich. Oh, he came from Minnesota. The Oregon Ducks are going to win every single game they play except against the Buckeyes, I think. I think that's how it's going to work. The Buckeyes, number 1. Ryan Day, head coach. Julian Sayin. His Pro Football Focus numbers are unreal. Incredible. You look at his completion percentage, yeah, that's outstanding. Look at his numbers while he's thrown passes longer than 20 yards. Also incredible. I love that backup quarterback that the Buckeyes have, St. Clair. I loved what I saw in their spring football game. So when Julian Sayin is dominating in the NFL, St. Clair, I think, is going to be the guy who emerges for the Buckeyes for next year. Bo Jackson, he's only going to be better this year. He was not supposed to play all that much last year. He was not supposed to play as much as he did. He excelled. This year, he's going to be ready. Bo Jackson, running back. Jeremiah Smith. Chris Henry, the 5-star. Jeremiah Smith, again, the best football player in college football. Chris Henry, we'll see what he can bring. Brandon Innes, again, high-quality wide receiver for the Buckeyes. Kenyatta Jackson, defensive end. James Smith, now, very interesting portal take for the Buckeyes from Alabama, James Smith. Terry Mohr, Duke, free safety. And then you got Jalen McLean, who's been there, strong safety. The Buckeyes are loaded. And for the championship game, the Big Ten championship game in Indianapolis, Ohio State 38, Oregon 33. The Ohio State Buckeyes are your Big Ten champions. So that concludes our official order of finish prediction for the Big Ten. The Ohio State Buckeyes defeat the Oregon Ducks. We've also did the Big 12. Texas Tech defeats BYU in the Big 12 championship game 20-17. We also did the SEC. The Longhorns 31, LSU 27, SEC championship game. And then the ACC. Miami 41, Louisville 20, ACC champ. So that concludes our order of finish prediction. We've done the Spotlight series. The only prediction that we have left to do is the college football playoff, all of the games, all 11 games leading us to the national champions. We are going to get that done real soon here in the month of August. So the rest of the month, we're going to be talking college football games against the spread, the rumors that are coming out of camp in August. There's a lot of quarterback battles still going on in these camps. We're going to talk football again, like we have all off season in the month of August. Let me go to the Super Chats. And then we'll go to the quick strike. The quick strike news that I have been fortunate enough to be given. We've got the Eva Badger $5 holler. Eva Badger. Well, Greg the Freezer is at it again. Wisconsin at 13. Total disrespect. Wisconsin will finish in the top half of the Big Ten. Book it. Well, we did book it, Eva Badger. We got a lot of your I Do Declare comments already booked in our I Do Declare World Championship College Football. Thank you, Eva Badger. I appreciate it. Look, I think I took my biasness out of the equation. I know none of you believe it. but I'm not seeing it for the Badgers. I don't think they truly have a wide receiver one. I truly don't think they have a RB one. And I question Colton Joseph being a QB one in the Big Ten. So I just don't see it. Thank you, Eva Badger. I appreciate the $5 holler. We're going to wait and see Kenneth Maynard, the Pirate Gator Maynard, $2 holler. The beloved Minnesota Frozen Gophers. Oh boy. Kenneth Maynard is not a believer. He is not a believer in my predictions, or maybe not a believer that the Golden Gophers will finish 7th in the Big Ten. We shall see. Now, the first 2 years, the Big Ten is an 18-team conference. The Gophers have finished in the top 9 both years. I think they're going to do it 3 years in a row. This is the best roster they've had in the last 3 years. The schedule is a little bit more of a challenge, but we don't play the Buckeyes and we don't play the Ducks. I think the Gophers are going to be just fine. We got Heartbreak 25. Thank you, Kenneth Maynard. I very much appreciate it. $5 holler from Heartbreak 25. Great. Why the double standard? The Big Ten won 3 titles with 3 teams in 3 straight years and bowl games. The SEC only needs to win 1 this year to be the best again. I get it. I get why you would think that's a double standard, and I may not be able to convince you that it's not a double standard, but let me try to explain. When the Big Ten had a very good season, when Michigan won the national championship, it wasn't just Michigan. It was like this. The SEC had more than a slight advantage over the Big Ten. Way more than a slight advantage. If you listen to everybody, if you listen to the chat room, if you listen, the ACC and the Big 12 was just as good as the Big Ten. I did not believe that. But there was a gap, okay? The gap closed. And I said that after that season. The gap closed, but the SEC is still the best football conference in the nation. Then the Buckeyes won it. And I said the gap has closed again, and the SEC better get off the mat. Well, they did not. Last year, the Big Ten, in dominating fashion, not against Miami, but against the SEC, the Big Ten is now the best conference in the country. But it's not the gap that it was between the SEC and the Big Ten 3 years ago. The SEC doesn't have that much to make up. I think the Southeastern Conference is loaded this year, and I think their Longhorns are a threat to win it all. But I also have to say this. I have to say this warning to my SEC brothers and sisters. First, let me tell my Big Ten brothers and sisters. The SEC top is really close to the Big Ten top this year, the top of the conference. But let me give a warning to my SEC brothers and sisters. Your middle, I'm sorry, your middle is no better than the Big Ten middle. And I think that's going to be proven this year. So buckle up, both of you SEC brothers and sisters, Big Ten brothers and sisters. You're all more similar than you are different. And I know both of you do not like when I say that. All right. Thank you for the $5 Heartbreak, $5 holler. Thank you, Heartbreak 25. Very much appreciated. We've got Has Been $10 holler. Rock and Rant says the Big Ten and the SEC were in the dark about the Protect the College Sports Act in the Senate at introduction. Why should we believe those same guys have a better idea how to control it in the House? Well, I don't know if they were in the dark. I think they chose their battles early, and we just did not know that they did that. They chose the battle on closing the loophole, raising the money, getting a big enough, wide enough antitrust bill. And the other part, the 19-5, I think they're going to see if the House, if that can be massaged. I know the effort is going to be there. And then the court cases that are going to be coming on that is going to be there. I don't know if I agree that they were in the dark. I think they just chose. They chose the issues that they have been trying to solve with 7 years of going to Washington, D.C. And that was the antitrust exemption. And then added on with the all this other stuff with player compensation. We'll see how it goes. Thank you, Has Been. Thank you for the $10 holler. Very much appreciated, sir. Thank you very much. Let me make sure I caught up here. I do want to thank Helmer Hennessy, Eva Badger, Larry Andrick, Jim Skinner, Jace, Eva Badger, Kenneth Maynard, Heartbreak 25, and Has Been. Thank you guys for your donation. I appreciate it. Mad Gopher, after what game will Fickle be fired? A game before or after the Axe game. I don't know if they'll have Luke Fickle coach against the Gophers if Wisconsin is struggling mightily before that game. But after the Axe game, that should be it. When the Gophers hammer on the Evil Badgers, that will be Luke Fickle's last game as head coach. Remember, your athletic director did not hire Luke Fickle. He's got no ties that binds with Luke Fickle. So when he sees the Badger fan base go up in arms, and you're going to be one of them, Evil Badger, you're going to be saying this is the disgrace. They got to get Luke Fickle out of here, just like you said last year. You're going to say it this year. In the Gophers, the swinging of the axe, that's going to be the last moment of Luke Fickle's coaching career in Madison, Wisconsin. Thank you, Eva Badger. Appreciate the $2 holler. Thank you so very much. All right. Brandon Marcello, earlier today, Notre Dame and USC have agreed to a 4-game series beginning in 2030. So, it happened. They're going to play each other again 2030, 31, 32, 33. Now, that is what Notre Dame wanted. But USC also got what they wanted. They wanted those games to be early in the season. 2030 is going to be week 1. 2031 is going to be week 1. 2032 is going to be either week 1, week 2, or week 3. 2033 is going to be either week 1, week 2, or week 3. So they both got what they wanted. And what made it happen? What made it happen is this. Indiana got out of the series with Notre Dame in the 2030, a couple of games, and that gave an opening for USC and Notre Dame to get it done. So, I've enjoyed the series. I think we've all enjoyed the series. It's going to be a tough task for USC. 9-game conference schedule, possible 10-game Big Ten conference schedule. And then you're going to be playing Notre Dame. Well, you cannot say that USC is running from anybody, right? They're going to be playing one hell of a schedule in the Coliseum every single year. Indiana canceled its 2-game series with Notre Dame for 30 and 31, opening the door for the Irish in USC to quickly enter negotiations and schedule their new 4-game series, sources tell CBS Sports. Now, to the big story. Burgess Everett. Seems like the NIL bill, which is the Protect the College Sports Act, could slip until September in the Senate with CR, Russia sanctions, nominations. Thune said the clarity will get a vote, but seems worried it might get filibustered. Whether we can get on it or not, we'll see. Thune says we've had several NIL conversations, that's the Protect the College Sports Act, over the weekend. And that's certainly probably trending in the right direction. The question is, can we produce a big vote for it on the floor? Can we get it in the queue somehow? I mean, these are some unanswered questions. So, again, we're waiting for news, and we might have gotten some since I've been on live. Okay. All right. Okay. Hold on, everybody. Hold on. Ross Dellinger, the latest text of the bill is being distributed now to some Senate members. However, a spokesperson for Senator Maria Cantwell says the text is not final. It is not final. Final details are still being worked through. Final details are still being worked through. Okay. Let me check some more here. A lot of people have been sending me a lot of... Hold on, everybody. Hold on. Ted Cruz believes the Protect the College Sports Act will be on the Senate floor this week, according to Brandon Marcello, CBS Sports. Ted Cruz, I've talked with John Thune multiple times. I've spoken with President Trump multiple times. I believe that the Senate will remain in session until we pass this bill. Wow, big news. Big news. Okay. Let me okay. Quick strike prepared if needed early 2027. Again, as we have reported, the quick strike is not something that wants to be done by the Big Ten and the SEC. It's not something that they want to do at this time. However, if this bill, again, they support the passage of this bill in the Senate. But they're going to let it be known that some changes still need to be made to this bill. That 5-year provision and that number 19, it is not something that the Big Ten and the SEC wants. It is something that they were willing to fight later against, but they're not ready to fully commit to anything. They want to see what the House says. They want this changed. There are other, again, we've talked about it, there are other interests that they're going to be popping up. There are senators being called to the floor on this. There are senators, there are people, congressional people, representatives, House of Representatives in the state of Florida, in the state of Washington, everywhere, that are being called and said, what is going on here? What is this 19-5 business? This is not going to be as easy as people think. This isn't going to just slide on through without a battle. There are strong forces behind Florida State, Clemson, and Miami, and other universities with a lot of money, Duke, other Georgia Tech, and a handful of other universities that are waiting for a certain realignment wave to happen so they can backfill, get into the Power Four. The Big Ten, and this is a part of it, a small part of it. We actually played a pretty big part in the USC story, but hopefully we don't play that big a part in this. But it has been told to us at Peek Around the Corner that if this bill does not pass the Senate and the House, if it can't get to a vote in the House, that 19-5 will not, most likely, will not be part of the negotiations in the next Senate and House because of a thing called a quick strike. It is best for everybody that you massage that 5-0 and you massage that 19 to at least 20. You want all this to happen. We want all this to happen. We want that antitrust exemption. We want the cap to be raised. We want to close the loophole. We want to be able to enforce rules of eligibility, of transfer. But this battle over 19-5, it really hasn't even, it's just starting yesterday. It was not a battle in the Senate bill. It's not because it's not a priority, but it wasn't as high as the big ones that the Big Ten and the SEC have been fighting for 7 years. The conversations have been had. The preparation is done, according to BTM and his associates. There ain't going to need to be all these meetings. Now, we were told that there were certain institutions in which the discussions had been exhausted. That was about a week ago, that there was nothing left to talk about. Now we are hearing everything is exhausted. It's not imminent. As you can see, needed and early in 2027. That is what we were told. We were not told if needed late 2026. That's what we were told. If this passes with the 19-5 in there, the quick strike could happen, but it's most likely a scenario in which the battle in the courts will happen. But if the bill doesn't pass at all, because there was not enough agreement on other items, or the 19-5, or they just couldn't get it to the House vote because of other things going on in the world, whatever the reason is, the quick strike of early 2027 is most likely going to happen. And I was told, not only was I told this, but that is the message being sent everywhere. So it is probably, and this is the message, we've got two of them. I haven't even touched on the other one. I haven't even touched on another one that is as huge as what I'm saying. We're going to get to that in a second. There are two messages here. And this is coming from the deep bowels of the Big Ten. You can take this however you want to take it. Just like when we delivered the USC stuff, take this however, it is your choice. It is best to massage that 19-5, get a different number in there on 19, get rid of the 5, get this thing done and passed, and we can finally move on. If it passes with a 19-5, it's either going to be a quick strike, probably not, but it could be, but definitely a battle in the courts that are going to last for years, or a couple of years. Or if this doesn't pass at all, because it gets defeated in the House, because you did not massage the 19-5, because of forces outside of the Big Ten and the SEC, we're talking about ACC schools, a couple of Big 12 schools, or other world events. If it doesn't pass at all, that quick strike is ready to go in early 2027. Early 2027. And here is the second big message. You can take this however you want to take it. The Big Ten has been flirting with Notre Dame on and off for 70, 80 years. There is things in this bill that the Big Ten really, really, really likes. There's a lot in here that the Big Ten likes. One of the things that they really enjoy is no third-party private equity coming in and creating a new conference. From the Big Ten's perspective, that threat off the table is what that is a big victory. Notre Dame, while they would love to have Notre Dame in the conference, if that 19-5 gets massaged to a 20-0, at some point, the Big Ten would expand to 20 without Notre Dame. As long as it's in the bill, the Big Ten is protected. There ain't going to be some formation of something that they don't know about. It's one of the reasons why Michigan did not want to vote for the UC investment deal that took the grant of rights to 2036 to 2046, because there was always this fear that third-party money would knock on the door of the biggest SEC programs, a Notre Dame, our biggest programs in the ACC, form some other conference that could challenge or go over the top on the Big Ten, and the Big Ten top schools would be stuck because they would be in the grant of rights to 2046, and there'd be money getting poured in, private money getting poured in, and whatever this new creation would go over and be more valuable than the Big Ten. Now that the Big Ten knows that that cannot happen, now that they know that the Notre Dame cannot be some beachhead along with the top SEC programs, the top of the ACC programs, now that the Big Ten knows that Notre Dame is going to be an independent program going forward, and if they want to join the SEC, well, they can go ahead. It doesn't really fit them, but whatever. If they do that, go ahead. But the Big Ten now is more, has way more security. They know they can increase the value of the conference by going in the Southeast and taking two teams and not have to worry about this other stuff that possibly could happen. So the other big message of today, if it does get massaged to 20-0, 21-0, 22-0, if it passes the Senate and the House, there won't be that they don't need to be the reason for the quick strike in 2027. But the Big Ten can now expand without hesitation in the next couple of years ahead to go to 20 or whatever that number is and not have Notre Dame included if they don't want. It gives the Big Ten leverage. So the Big Ten is not needing Notre Dame as much or wanting Notre Dame as much as they did in the past. Even though they still want them, they would take them in a heartbeat. But it gives the Big Ten more of an opportunity to go ahead and go 19-20 with two Southeastern Conference teams, even if that number was 20, the cap number. So that's the other message. BTM and his associates. His associates are money purchasers across the Big Ten. They have helped peek around the corner and break national news with USC, the Washington and Oregon story. They were there. They were the reason why I was able to break the Notre Dame's men's hockey program going to the Big Ten. And other stories. PJ Fleck's story, which a lot of you are not aware of, but that was our biggest local story that I ever broke. Now the people, the BTM and his associates are saying two things today. One, you should probably want to massage that 19-5. Probably going to want to do that. There's going to be a lot of pressure put on the House representatives to go. You should probably want to do that. And you should pass this thing. Because if it doesn't, we're going to take the 19-5. There ain't going to be no 19. It's going to be completely off the board. And number two, The Big Ten is willing and able and ready, if needed, to go to 20 without Notre Dame. Because they have security in around what is happening around them. If that bill passes. If the bill doesn't pass, it's a little bit of a different equation in that. So there it is, ladies and gentlemen. Big news coming out of BTM and the money purchase across the Big Ten. Remember, the Big Ten money purchase wanted the city of Los Angeles to be in the Big Ten. They got what they wanted. I talked about it all through the spring and summer of 2022. They were laying it out there. They were letting Kevin Warren know that they knew, that he knew, that they knew, that he knew, that they knew. You better get it done. They wanted Seattle. They wanted the University of Washington, and they wanted the brand multiplier of Oregon. And they were able to get it done. And now the money purchase, the big economic forces within inside the Big Ten that is becoming more of the operational teams of these athletic departments in more ways than one are saying the following. Yeah, you know what? We want to get to the southeastern part of this country. We want to get in a couple of those markets. We want to add those universities. We want to add those student athletes. We want to be able to go down there and say this is a Big Ten country. So we are going to put our influence out there. And number two, if the bill passes with the 20-0, the Big Ten is willing to do something in the future, not a quick strike, because if the bill passes what they want, they will not need to do the quick strike. If the bill passes with those Messiah, with that 5 out of there and that 19 put up a bit, the Big Ten is more likely than ever to actually go to 20 without Notre Dame being a part of it. Because they're not going to have to worry about any other these things that I just discussed 10 minutes ago. So there it is, ladies and gentlemen. We're going to take your phone calls. And I'm going to, again, you call in. The floor is completely yours. Super chat, super seed comments. You know how this works. Let me make sure I'm all caught up with everything. Does Minnesota have an older team? Thank you, Hammer Hennison, for the $2 holler. Appreciate it. Minnesota has the 7th most production returning from last year. So yeah, I mean, every guy that they wanted back is coming back. And they knew halfway during the season that they were going to lose Coy Perch. Who has a potential to be a really good player for Oregon this year. He was a sensational freshman, not a good sophomore. But every other player that Minnesota wanted back, they got him back. Every one of them, including the ones that they thought they had no chance of getting back. Anthony Smith, for one, the great defensive end, All-American, first team All-American going into the season. Thank you, Hammer Hennison. Appreciate it. Appreciate the $2 holler. Yeah, a lot more snaps played going into this year than last year. All right. Phone lines are now open. 763-260-1333. 763-260-1333. 1333. I'm trying to find if there's any reporting, if we have the final bill. It still doesn't look like we have the final bill. Right? Let me know what you think about our Big Ten final order of finish prediction. What did we get wrong? Florida man, 2014 cap, 2014 playoffs. 24 is the all-around magic number. Now, again, because Notre Dame is independent, I do not have them on my final order finish prediction for any of these conference races. But Notre Dame is going to be in my top 4 seeds. 1, 2, 3, or 4 going in the college football playoffs. So, we did a spotlight on Notre Dame. They're absolutely loaded. Again, a little bit of a question. Enos Williams, the running back. I mean, they do not have Jeremiah Love or Jadarian Price. But, you know, maybe they do and we don't know it. But they're stacked. The defense is going to be incredible. CJ Carr, second year as a full-time starter. Leonard Mohr. I mean, they're, you know. So, top 4 Irish. And we'll see where PATC has them in the playoffs. Okay, let's see. I want to thank Helmer Hennison, Evil Badger, Larry Andrick, Jim Skinner, Jace, Evil Badger, Kenneth Maynor, Heartbreak 25 has been. I want to thank you guys for your donations, your generosity. I appreciate it. Azon the Kid is in the house. MBM is here. All right. I guess we're going to hang up the phone. Nobody wants to call in. So we'll hang up the phone on that. Usually when we have a big show, we got a lot of phone calls. I think everybody's tuckered out. And it's only Monday. It's only the start of the week. Solar Noel is in the house. Adam Rowe, appreciate you guys coming on in. Irish Ryan is here. Check It Out is here. Cross the Green, thanks for coming on in. I will check one more time for any national reports. Okay. No, I don't see any updates. So I think we're all caught up. All right. I do appreciate everybody coming on in. Monday, August 3rd, we'll be back Tuesday, August 4th for a live show. We did drop an episode earlier today. Episode, I think it was 517. Go check it out. The Big Ten has something up their sleeve. Cornhusker article piece by Oliver Vanderhoot, something like that. Vanderhoot. Let me show you guys. Cornhusker. Nebraska AD says the Big Ten has more up its sleeve if the college football expansion becomes reality. So they go to the 2014 playoffs. Go check out that episode 517. We dropped it earlier today. We'll probably drop an episode 518 tomorrow morning. So buckle up, brace for impact. Again, make sure before you leave, you smash the like button if you like our content. Share the video with your family and friends. And make sure you are notified because we can come on live at any time. If there's more breaking news later tonight, we'll come on live. If not, maybe tomorrow morning. You've always got to keep your head on a swivel if you're going to be part of the PATC family. So until next time, from all of us at College Football's Peak Around the Corner, to all of you, please, you all take great care of each other. And as always, God, family,